So, we all know the creator economy is huge, right? But what if I told you it's, well, fundamentally broken for a lot of people? Today, we're diving into a really interesting proposal called the BFC Ecosystem. The big idea here is to use AI and Web3 to completely rethink who owns what online. Let's start with this quote because, wow, does it hit home? It just perfectly captures that deep-seated fear so many creators live with. You know, that feeling that you're building this incredible thing, this career, but you're doing it on rented land. And the landlord, the platform, can change the rules or even kick you out whenever they feel like it. And we're not talking about small potatoes here. The stakes are absolutely enormous. In 2024 alone, the creator economy is estimated to be worth a staggering $104 billion. That is a ton of value being built on that rented land, and it's growing like crazy.
Okay, so what exactly is the problem? Why are we even using a word like broken to describe this massive economy? Before we can get into the solution, we've got to really understand the problems that are baked right into the Web 2.0 model we all use every single day.
And get this, it's not slowing down. The whole industry is on track to more than double by 2028. But here's the catch. As this giant economic pie gets bigger and bigger, the slices going to the actual creators just aren't keeping up. There's a serious imbalance where the value isn't flowing to the people creating it. And this slide really just lays it all out, doesn't it? It's a tough deal for pretty much everyone. Creators are doing all the work, but only seeing a tiny fraction of the revenue. Fans, whose attention and data are the real product here, get absolutely nothing. And brands? They're often just throwing money into a black box, fighting confusing algorithms and fake traffic. The platform in the middle is the one that wins.
All right, so we've laid out the problem. Now for the proposed fix. The whole argument behind the BFC ecosystem is that you can't just tweak the old system. You need a totally new one, built by combining two of the most powerful technologies out there right now, AI and Web3.
To really get it, let's just take a quick trip through internet history. First, you had Web 1.0, the read-only internet. Then came Web 2.0, our current era, where we can all read and write, create content, share it, you know the drill. Web 3.0 introduced this game-changing idea of read, write, own. And this new model says the next evolution, the future that's happening right now, is all about combining AI's productivity with Web 3's ownership. This chart is honestly the perfect summary of the whole philosophical shift. We're talking about moving from a world where the platform is king, sitting in its castle and controlling all the data, to a decentralized world where the users, that's you and me, actually own our data. Data stops being the product they sell and starts becoming an asset that you control. The power dynamic completely flips. So think of their solution like a car with two engines. You've got AI as the productivity engine. It's the turbo boost that helps creators make more and better content. Then you've got the blockchain as the ownership engine. It's basically a super secure, transparent public receipt book that proves, without a doubt, who owns what. Okay, let's peel back another layer and get into the nitty-gritty. At the absolute heart of this system are two key concepts you really need to understand: TDA and BFC. They're the building blocks for this whole new economy. I know. More acronyms. But stick with me here, because they might sound a little complex, but they actually represent two very different but totally complementary pieces of the puzzle. All right, first up is TDA, which stands for Trustable Data Asset. The absolute easiest way to think about this is like owning a tiny share of stock, but instead of a company, you own a tiny piece of your favorite creator's influence. It takes all their social capital, their views, likes, shares, and turns it from something intangible into a tangible, trackable digital asset. It's a certificate of ownership. And this table here does a fantastic job of breaking down the difference. See, TDA is all about ownership. It represents your stake in the creator's data value. BFC, on the other hand, is the system's currency. It's what brands actually buy and use to pay for advertising. So to put it really simply, TDA is for owning and BFC is for spending. Now, check this out. This is how a creator's TDA is split up right from the beginning. The most important thing to notice here is that the two biggest slices, a full 30% each, go directly to the creator and into a pool for their fans. The entire system is designed from the ground up to make sure everyone's incentives are aligned from day one. Okay, so that's the theory. But what does this all mean in practice? Let's look at how this new model completely changes the roles for everyone involved: the creators, their fans, and the brands who want to work with them. This is where things get really cool, because the roles are totally reimagined. Creators go from being basically gig workers for a platform to being true asset owners. Fans are no longer just passive consumers. They become active ecosystem co-builders. And brands, they get to skip all the middlemen and become direct partners with creators and their communities. And this flowchart shows exactly how the money is designed to move. A brand buys BFC tokens to run a campaign. That payment is handled by a smart contract, which is just code that automatically carries out the deal. Now, here's the absolute game changer. A full 70% of that revenue automatically flows directly into the TDA value pool. That means it directly benefits the creator and their fans, the people who actually own the TDA. So how do fans get their hands on this TDA? Well, it's through a model called work to earn. This means that instead of your attention being harvested for free by a platform, every valuable action you take, watching a video, leaving a thoughtful comment, sharing content, is treated as work. And for that work, you're rewarded with a small piece of ownership. The principle is so simple. If you contribute value, you get value back. But of course, it can't all be sunshine and rainbows, right? No system like this comes without risk. And to be fair, the source material is very upfront about the potential downsides, so it's essential that we look at those too. And these are not small risks. First, there's technical risk. Smart contracts are just code, and code can have bugs. Then you have massive market volatility. The value of these digital assets can swing up and down like crazy. There's also huge regulatory uncertainty. What will governments decide to do about all this? And finally, liquidity risk, which is just a fancy way of saying there is no guarantee you'll be able to sell your assets whenever you want to. And this brings us to a really critical legal point that the project makes over and over and over again. TDA and BFC are explicitly not investment products. The system is designed as a work-to-earn model that rewards direct contribution. It is not, and they are very clear about this, a passive investment vehicle that promises financial return. Which, of course, leaves us with the big unanswered question. Is this combination of AI and Web3 a genuine blueprint for a fairer creator economy? Or is it just swapping one powerful platform for another with a different set of rules? That, right there, is the million-dollar or maybe billion-dollar question. And honestly, the only way we'll find out is by seeing how these new models actually perform out in the wild.